he's part of it nevertheless. Not cool. And then you really do get down to the end where they throw some jobbers inside of there.
Yeah, exactly.
And some big-name jobbers. And I see what they were doing because at the same time, there was a group that came out before them called the Justice League. And Stan Lee and Mr. Kirby said, we have to come up with our own superhero group to combat that. And so the Avengers was formed to combat the Justice League. And the Justice League has the same thing. They take characters that really cannot survive by themselves, and they just throw them in this group.
But again, not originally.
Yeah.
In other words, it was the same. It was the same trajectory, right? I mean, if I'm not as big on DC Comics, but didn't the Justice League start out with an all-star lineup too?
It did. And then they started putting mid-carders in there like Plastic Man. Like, who cares about a guy that can form into a mailbox or a kite? I'm sorry, POD. That dude's a jobber. There's no, but was it Elastic Man or Elastic Man?
Elastic Man. Yeah, there was Plastic Man, Elastic Man,
and Avengers had their jobbers inside there as well. Then you look back at them and Justice. I mean, what the? I mean, they blatantly just put that out just to like say we have something with the word justice in our Avengers team. Take that, DC. That character was horrible.
I don't even remember him.
And there's so many people that jump back and forth from the Avengers. They have X-Men that are X-Men, but now they're Avengers. But then they're back to X-Men, but then they disappear. Thank God they did. And it's a mess. I mean,
yeah, because I don't know what is it. Maybe somebody in the Marvel creative team loved a given character, so it was an orphan, and they just refused to let it die.
Yeah,
is that it? I mean, or were they? I don't know. I mean, kind of the same way in professional wrestling. You see the same jobbers come up again and again with different uniforms because they're friends with somebody.
Yeah, they just can't get rid of them. They love that character.
Yeah, but yeah, it was awful. I'll tell you, in the 70s, the one thing they really did do that I thought worked, an Avenger who made a really good Avenger, even though he might have been a second stringer, was remember the Vision?
Yes, I do remember the Vision.
I thought the Vision was a really good example for a change of somebody that they brought into the team that was a secondary character that worked.
And that is a perfect segue that we will bring back into when we come back. We'll talk about the man himself that you just did right there. We're going to go down to a little Iron Maiden here on RhodeIslandFreeRadio.org. And we're going to try to play this again. This time, hopefully, the demons inside the studio do not cut it out. The Number of the Beast here on Chuckles Crypt, Rhode Island Free Radio.
Woe to you, O earth and sea, for the devil sends the beast with wrath, because he knows the time is short. Let him who hath understanding reckon the number of the beast, for it is a human number. Its number is 666.
I left alone. My mind was blank. I needed time to think, to get the memories from my mind. What did I see? Can I believe that what I saw that night was real and not just fantasy? Just what I saw in my old dreams were the reflections of my Walkman staring back at me. 'Cause in my dreams, it's always there. The evil face that twists my mind and brings me to despair. Night was black, was no use holding.
That was Iron Maiden, The Number of the Beast, here on Chuckles Crypt, Rhode Island Free Radio. We play a lot of heavy metal and rock and roll around here. That's what us comic nerds enjoy. Once in a while, we'll go off subject and go into the hip-hop genre, but not today, not with the Avengers, because the Avengers deserve heavy metal. They defended New York City with great pride and destroyed it at the same time.
And plus, heavy metal music, heavy metal machinery in this next Avengers sequel.
You got it. Age of Ultron coming up, and you're talking about heavy metal and heavy metal machinery. You might want to close your ears, Mr. Garner.
That's what one spoiler's okay. Just don't, as long as it's just one character.
If you haven't seen it by now, I'm spoiling it for you. Vision is gonna be an Age of Ultron.
Ooh, okay.
And they have shown the face of him on the preview, and they're doing the green and red Vision, so they're not doing the clear one.
Good. So far, so good.
I don't know where they're going with this yet, who's created him, because originally Vision was created by Ultron to help him destroy the human race, and somewhere down the line the machinery got a conscience, which I don't really know how that happens.
It happens that way a lot in Marvel Comics.
But it did.
There's a lot of consciences wandering around.
Yeah, I wish my computer had a conscience, so every time I'm sitting there looking at, pictures of other choices, it would shut me off so I don't get that same virus for the 99th time there. But no, it doesn't. It doesn't have a conscience, and it lets me do it. So no, I don't get that. But whatever, he's going to be in it. That's pretty cool. I'm going to see which end he goes. Is he going to be a villain? Not sure. Is he
it's possible, I guess, that Ultron will create the Vision in this movie.
It's got to happen. I mean, he is the one that creates him. If they go any other way, I might throw Skittles forward across the movie theater. And I don't mean Skittles the candy. I will have my smaller clown Skittles there, and I will throw him across the damn movie theater. And trust me, I will.
And I'll tell you right now, and from what we just said so far, what better not happen is that Ultron creates the Vision, and the Vision is the one that stops Ultron. That better not happen, because otherwise it would not be good for me to be sitting in a big screen theater.
Because you're going to throw Skittles as well across. And that poor...
Yeah, Skittles... I'm not a big Skittles fan, but I'll find something to throw.
You throw M&M? That's all he's good for.
I'll throw humans.
Throwing. Yeah, well, he is kind of human. But the awesomeness is it's coming out. I'm excited to see what's going on, because I remember the first Avengers being very entertaining. As much as it didn't follow the storyline, it was pretty cool. The lead up to it, not so much. Some of the movies were kind of harsh. Like, I wasn't a big fan, and I know people are going to sit there and they're going to razz me. The original Captain America movie not the original, but the remake, and
the Winter Soldier, you mean?
No, not Winter Soldier, the one before. And Iron Man's first one, I was not a big fan of, because one of the problems with Marvel is when they start a story off, they start it off dry. And it's no different in the movie theaters. They start the story off really dry. And
interesting. What do you mean by that, Chuckles?
I found it to be boring. I really did.
In other words, by the numbers. In other words, okay, here's the origin of the hero. Here's how,
right.
Blah 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 blah. Okay, yeah,
and it really didn't. It didn't have anything to grasp my attention. Unlike Thor, which had some really cool fighting scenes in it, especially towards the end, where it started off a little boring, but then it picked up towards the end, and I could enjoy that. Or the Incredible Hulk, which was awesome. Not the first one.
You're right. The difference is that in the Thor movie, we didn't have to suffer through the origin of Thor.
Right.
In other words, there was an explanation somewhere along the line, but we didn't have to suffer through that. Okay, the hero is created. I am sick and tired of that,
right.
Definitely.
And the other thing I didn't like about the Captain America movie is how they tried keeping it politically correct by keeping certain symbols off flags, if you know what I'm talking about, and trying not to touch on that part of history, which, if you know what I'm talking about there, which is a big part of Captain America, which kind of really, once they stopped doing that, it lost me.
Actually, for the stupid among us, go ahead. What did they leave out? What did they leave out that was really hurting the story?
What is one of the biggest components to Captain America fighting? He's in World War II.
He's fighting the Nazis.
Right. And the symbolization of the Nazis isn't there. They have the Hydra symbol everywhere. And they kind of bury that away from you.
Yeah, see, I guess I didn't mind that as much because I was in that movie, not comic mindset. But you're right. I mean, it would have added a lot to it. I think that's called putting it in context, which
Right.
I don't think people give a shit anymore about. But that is what that is. That would have helped. You're right.
And as a Captain America fan, he's a World War II hero. Right. So and there's no way of saying this man will always top everybody as the biggest villain in the world. Hitler needed to be part of that. You needed to know that Red Skull was part of him.
Right.
And they did show you little bits and pieces of it, but not enough where, okay, it appeased me.
Actually, in the Avengers movie, they did a better job.
They did.
Remember when Captain America confronted Loki in Germany? And he made that little speech about last time somebody put himself above the people like this.
Yep.
So, I mean, that was a better reference than there was in the Captain America movie itself. Yeah.
And what surprised me the most about that is by then, Disney owns the Avengers. So beforehand, I could be wrong, I don't think Disney had bought the Marvel thing when Captain America first came out. I could be wrong about that, but I think Disney had bought it afterwards. So it's kind of a shock to see that they allowed that to go on.
Well, you'll notice though that they did it. Now I appreciated it. I thought they did it really well, but you'll notice that they didn't make an overt reference to it. In other words, they didn't name names.
Right.
In other words, the way they did it was that if you knew your history, it was very emotional.
Right.
But if you didn't, no big deal. So they did avoid it.
Yeah, and you have to have that part in there because, unfortunately, the way that things are going right now, kids don't really know too much about history, and the World War II soldiers that fought are still alive, and they're dropping off relatively quickly, and people don't care. So to put that last bit in would have been like, hey, we appreciate what you did. And it was kind of cool to see that Captain America, being a World War II hero, brought that patriotism back to some folks, saying that, hey, he was a hero.